big story tonight. The government today announced 10% reservations in government jobs and higher education for economically weaker sections in the general category and said that it will move a constitutional amendment bill to bring this into effect. The mega move just months before the national elections was approved at a cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Modi today. The constitutional amendment bill is to be moved in Parliament tomorrow. So who exactly qualifies for this quota? It's basically those who earn less than 8 lakh rupees a year and have less than 5 acres of land. Union Minister Vijay Sampla today said that Brahmins, Baniyas, Christians and Muslims will all benefit from this. So the key criteria is that you are economically backward and you come into a particular economic category. The bill has to be a constitutional amendment because it actually overshoots the Supreme Court's 50% cap on quotas and takes the total quotas to 60%. So any increase from that limit then would be subject to judicial scrutiny, and it's going to be pretty tough to get it through Parliament as well. In fact, the government has extended the Rajya Sabha session by one day. It was supposed to be the last day tomorrow, but they've extended it till the 9th of January, hoping that they can get it through the Rajya Sabha on Wednesday. The government, however, insisting that they're trying to make a distinction between economic and social reservation, and that the Supreme Court's limit of 50% is for social caste-based reservation and not necessarily for economic reservation. Is that going to actually pass the test in court? We'll have to wait and see. Joining us on the program this evening, Dr. Udit Raj, Lok Sabha MP of the BJP. We have Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Mr. Sudhindra Bhadoria, leader of the BSP, Mr. Shahid Siddiqui, the editor of Nai Dunya, and Adil Singh Boparai, the spokesperson of the Congress, also joining us this evening. Dr. Udit Raj, to you first. Today Mr. Sampla, the union minister, said that this had nothing to do with the elections, that the BJP government was announcing this quota because it had the welfare of people in mind. So ये welfare suddenly election से पहले कहाँ से याद आ गया आपको? If this was a serious step that the Modi government wanted to do, why didn't it do it 4 years ago?
See, who does not do in view the election an electoral gain? Everybody does it, and politics is meant for it. And secondly, not the timing, whether it's late or early, but what is material that cause. This cause is good, and this demand has been there for a long time.
You're saying the timing is not material, but you don't think people are going to look at it as cynical politics? That if there was a serious move to do this, because there's hardly any time to even get it through in Parliament.
I have already answered. Again, I'm saying that who does not do the politics for electoral gain.
But wasn't the BJP supposed to be different?
Politics is not organization of priest and a sant. Every political party tries its level best. But the very fact is that whether it is beneficial or not, it's a beneficial. That's enough. Even if it is late, but it is beneficial. It's a welfare.
And where is the time to pass it? Rajya Sabha mein to aapko pata hai, you don't have the numbers, it's going to create problems. You have extended the session by one day. It's not going to be easy.
I think it should sail through, in the sense that, in the context that many other political parties have been also demanding the same. So even opposition will join hand together here in passing the bill. I feel like that.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, is that going to be the Samajwadi Party stand? And what do you think of Mr. Udit Raj's very frank admission today that which party doesn't do politics for electoral gains? At least, he's being honest.
Well, it is good admission. He's a member of honorable member of parliament. But the key is that what is different about BJP is that they announce something and do not follow up. That is true for their manifesto. That is true for actions like Notebandi, where there was no follow-up, no telling the country that what happened. And even with this, it is in spirit. Everybody has said that social justice must include every poor, independent of their caste and creed. and there are different states who have moved in different ways, but there is some amount of sincerity and meticulousness in bringing it. If you ask BJP why 10%, you would not get an answer. If you ask how many youth from poor general classes would be impacted with respect to education or with respect to employment, you don't get an answer at a time when already the jobs question is a yappingly big question which the BJP does not want to answer. They believe that everybody has jobs, while CMI data and report after report will tell you that jobs is a major crisis because of Modi government. So in that, I think it's an insincere effort in terms of principle. It is in line with the principle of social justice, but in terms of effort, it's an insincere effort to again have a propaganda going without fulfilling the promise.
But having said that, if it comes up in the Rajya Sabha on Wednesday as it's expected to, will the Samajwadi Party support it?
Well, we will be a very active participant in the debate around it, and if the government has done thorough job, which I don't think they have. Here is the newspaper of the day, and take any newspaper, right? You wouldn't see any mention of this. The Prime Minister did not mention about this in his 1st January interview. So if the government is presenting this as a knee-jerk reaction between the BJP spokespersons, I have heard different versions of it. So I think that whatever is going to come in the parliament is going to be a half-baked proposal, and in that the due parliamentary process will take shape. BJP today is not ready to commit to a process and deadline and the formula that they are putting on table.
Well, Mr. Bhadoria, how does the BSP see this? Because there's already a 50% ceiling, as we know, on caste-based reservations, a ceiling that has been set by the Supreme Court. The court said last year that state governments could extend this if they had quantifiable data to prove that certain groups required reservation. Today, as a party that has believed in affirmative action for the weaker sections, what do you think of this move?
Well, BJP government under the leadership of Modi ji represents politics of deceit and also secrecy. You know, such an important national issue, he should have first called a round table of the opposition parties. He should have discussed it with the NDA partners. Having said that, this government on the eve of the poll is announcing such an important decision. He was in power for 5 years. He did not even care to consult anybody. It was not part of his election manifesto. It was not part of any economic program. This is just because in the last 6 months, BJP has been completely routed, whether it was Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, all the by-elections in Uttar Pradesh. Now, the sign of nervousness was very clear when Bahan Mayawati ji and Akhilesh Yadav met. They had a CBI raid on them. Now, this is because of this nervousness. They are now taking decisions on the last day when this government is going to end. I don't think this will see the light of the day. They will just be another Jumla. This Jumla will be like the 2 crore jobs every year. This Jumla will be like bringing 15 lakh rupees to the unemployed and to all the citizens of this country. So therefore, they have cheated the farmers, the unemployed youth, all citizens, as well as the women. And this
but
is
Mr.
another
Bhadoria, Mr. Udit
step
Raj
in
says
the same
that
direction.
he's not
Therefore,
apologizing
one
for the
does not
timing.
expect anything from
But
Modi ji's
Mr.
government.
Bhadoria, Mr. Udit Raj says that which party doesn't do things for electoral gains? The timing is not important. It is what the intent is. And that is what they're going to take to people.
Most certainly. No, most certainly, but no, most certainly they should do things. I think the political parties are there. It's a competitive world. They should do everything for their growth. But this is not going to give them any dividends. On the contrary, this will be diminishing. The party which is already seeing its diminishing returns will be further marginalized and they will be completely decimated in 2019.
Okay, all right. So very strong words from the BSP there. Adil Boparai, you're a lawyer as well. From a legal point of view, first of all, is this going to stand up in court, which already has a 50% ceiling, although the government's trying to make the distinction between caste-based social reservations based on caste and those based on economic criteria?
Well, the Supreme Court is quite categorical that the reservation policy cannot exceed 50%, and if at all it has to exceed 50%, there has to be quantifiable data. But let me speak for the Congress party. As far as the Congress is concerned, we support affirmative action for the economically weaker sections of society, provided it doesn't tinker with the reservation policy in the scheme for the STs and other backward classes. Having said this, the timing of this decision or this announcement is indeed under suspect. Let's not forget Mr. Modi, 4 years and 10 months into his tenure, 2 days before the winter session has to conclude, makes an announcement. This is the same Mr. Modi who in the run-up to the 2014 elections promised 2 crore jobs, promised to double farmers' income, promised to deposit 15 lakh rupees in every bank account. I mean, I'm constrained to say that Mr. Modi today in Indian politics exemplifies the master of deceit. After demonetization and GST, the economy has been completely destroyed. More than 2 crore jobs were lost on account of demonetization. Today I read in the morning that the unemployment rate stands at 7.3%. More than 1 crore jobs were lost in the year 2018 alone. And Mr. Gadkari, in fact, quite candidly admitted, where are the jobs? So it's important to bear in mind that this seems to be an insincere gesture by Mr. Modi, an attempt to deceive the general public, because there are no jobs. How does he promise and translate this proposal into delivery?
Okay,
let's not lose sight of this. This is the most critical point.
It's very clear that the political opposition sees it as a cynical move ahead of the elections. Shahid Siddiqui, however, is that how voters will perceive it? There are many who may see this as a masterstroke, who may turn around and say that, look, the whole idea of reservation from the beginning should have been about those who are economically backward, those who can't afford, education in good institutions, etc., and should never have been linked to caste. You think that it's going to go down that way for the BJP with the upper castes, or do you think that this will be seen as cynical politics?
No, it's a very clever political gimmick, no doubt, because what they believe is that if they both ways they think that they can benefit. If it get passed, then they benefit. If it doesn't get passed, then they will say that we tried, we wanted, but the opposition doesn't want this formula, because the middle class in this country has been demanding this for quite some time. But the fact is that middle class is not going to benefit at all, as everyone has said that there are no jobs. When there are no government jobs, how are they going to benefit? Number one. Number two, this 10% will decrease the general quota. It will decrease it to 40%, which will be ridiculous. In a country, if 60-70% of the seats are reserved, then I think it's unjust to those who want to qualify on the basis of merit. So it will be against merit, because the middle class has been demanding that the selection should be according to merit. So this will be an anti-merit move of the BJP. Thirdly, as everybody has said, that not 4 years, not 4.5 years, even in this session, for the last 3 weeks, they never talked about it. I was in the Central Hall this morning, till afternoon nobody knew about it. Suddenly the cabinet meeting was called today in the afternoon, and there it was presented to them. Even it was shocking for the BJP members and the leaders. They are also not aware of what was going to happen. So it's a knee-jerk reaction, BJP realizing that it is losing heavily, not only in the rural area, but even among the urban middle class. They have come up with this gimmick, and I don't know how much it will work, because people have become much more aware, much more conscious, and gimmicks don't work at the time of elections anymore. They have not worked in the past, and now they work much less.